Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Fiber Broadband Association webinar. My name is David Norris. I am the webinar producer here at FBA, and we appreciate you taking time to join today. Today's webinar is how ISPs can win in 2025 with practical marketing tips, and this is being brought to you by Sonar Software. And Sonar has brought along some guests from AW Broadband, Wi-Fiber, and Agile Networks. So looking forward to this. Just have a couple of quick housekeeping items to go through before we begin. As usual, everybody is in listen-only mode. However, if you do have a question, we encourage you to ask that question. You can do so by using the questions tool, which is located in the upper right. It's a little quote box with a question mark in it. Type your questions in there, and we will look forward to answering those during the Q&A portion. Also, this webinar will be available on demand, so feel free to share it with others within your org or outside of your organization. You can find that on demand. It'll usually be available within 24 to 48 hours on the FBA website, and you can find that under the Events tab on our website. Finally, at the end of today's presentation, we do have a quick survey for you. It's actually just one question long, but really does help us out. So if you can take a moment to answer that survey, we do appreciate the extra time. And with that, we'll jump right in here. So as I mentioned, today's webinar is being brought to you by Sonar Software. We're pleased to welcome Lindsey Kelly, the VP of Marketing at Sonar Software, and I should say welcome again. Lindsey, as I mentioned, has brought together a group of experts from some of their partners. And we have Michael Hughes, who's the Sales and Marketing Director at AW Broadband. We also are joined by Chris Kilbourn, who is the COO and CMO at Wi-Fiber. And of course, we have John Conley, the VP of Government Affairs at Agile Networks. So they'll be discussing some actionable marketing strategies that are tailored specifically for ISPs. And these are designed to captivate audiences, build trust, and drive that sustainable growth that we're all looking for as we embark on building out more of our fiber broadband. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Lindsey to get us started. So Lindsey, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Very excited to be here today and joined by my friends Michael, John, and Chris. We've done this before, and so we decided we wanted to do it again and share it with some more folks because it was a really great session that we did at another event. So thank you guys for being here today. We really want this to be interactive. Please ask questions. The slides are here just to kind of prompt some engaging conversation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to run through just a couple things that we've seen work. I'm going to be moderating for the most part. Michael, John, and Chris are out there in the trenches every day marketing, to the same guys that you are. So they're really going to be our experts today. So let's jump into some of the topics. We'll cover some social media, some AI chatbot things, referrals, how we can use video, and then also some guerrilla marketing and passive marketing ideas. We're going to jump into some SEO optimization things that you can do locally in your markets, some local events, and then government partners. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this, and we're going to let these folks speak a little bit about what's working really well for them in social media. All right. So I think, Michael, this starts with you, right?
Yes, it does. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Hughes from AW Broadband. We're a hybrid ISP in the Texas Panhandle, which is the very tip top of Texas, if you don't know where the Panhandle is. So this is one of our slides. We're really heavy into using our Facebook and Instagram, doing 3 to 4 times a week Facebook and Instagram ads. We usually try to do a local post, an educational post, a kind of funny post or humorous post, and a customer testimonial. You kind of see here, this is kind of one of our kind of, I'd say, kind of funny and local, cut the bull. We are the beef capital of the world. So we kind of try to integrate that as much as possible. We kind of make sure we keep our colors. As you can see right here, this is one of our broadband tips of the day. So we do sometimes give a little generalized tip on internet, whether it's Wi-Fi coverage or router placement or little things like that. Then here's one of them that says locally rooted, locally loved. As you can see, also, we do use our same color schemes. Very important. So when people see your ads, even the colors is instantly recognizable to your brand. So we do try to make sure that all of ours kind of keep that same theme going forward. Here's, like I said, this was from October. So it's kind of a funny one to the left with the haunted by poor internet connection. And then to the right is one of our customer testimonials that we get. And we usually generate those from people calling into the office directly. Our guys do ask for referrals or for people to give us reviews. And so these are sometimes pulled from our Google reviews from the website. Here's kind of, if you look at sometimes by the numbers of this is in October, and kind of what kind of reach your post can have on Facebook. So it kind of shows that we've hit almost 6,500 people with those posts. Had 1,163 people engage, 4 new likes, and 12 new page followers. Reactions. So it kind of gives you an idea of how your posts are being reflected if your Facebook is set up as a business profile. That's one of the main things also is making sure that your Facebook and your Instagram are set up as business profiles, and you can get all these numbers. I can kind of show you, and that's kind of the best way because everybody wants to know your ROI on your engagement. It's really kind of hard to get an ROI off a billboard, and Facebook and Instagram gives you great numbers to see what's working and what's not working for your specific market.
Yeah, those are really important. I do want to call out, like, I love that you highlight your customers in the testimonials. I think, the proof is in the pudding. And so when people can see other people that are happy, we find the same thing. It's just something that that works really well and resonates with the other folks out there. And I'll jump in here just really quickly with a couple things that we do at Sonar. We're OSS, BSS platforms. We don't sell directly to the same folks that you do. We sell to you actually. So, but some of the things that we've seen work really, really well. Carousels. So it's we'll take maybe something like a white paper or a guide, and we'll call out some really interesting things in it visually, and have like larger quotes in it. Something that gives the folks in LinkedIn an arrow to click on to go through to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, and it keeps them engaged. And those things, like Michael had said, the engagement, the interactions, the impressions, just the eyeballs that you can get from things like that. So the other thing that we try to do is from an authenticity perspective, like we'll do interviews with, industry experts, both internally within Sonar as well as externally, some of our partners. We've done that a couple times with some folks that we work with closely with some of our integration partners. And we'll do an interview. And when somebody sees in their feed the scrolling, and they'll stop on a person. So we try to put people in our ads that are actually folks that are part of the industry and the community, and it gives that extra level of humanization. And then we'll also do like feature Fridays. So we'll post on Fridays really cool features that we've rolled out. And it just gives folks something to see, to keep in the know as to what we're building. And then, over here, when it comes to humor, we're starting to experiment with memes, just like Michael said, funny. People like funny. So, I'm not going to read it out loud. You guys can all read it, but we're trying to find relatable things to people that make them go, oh, that is funny. Yeah. Like, but we're also highlighting some of our individuals within the organization. So sharing not only from the company, but from some of our faces within the Sonar brand. So we have Ray, who is our CEO. And so he shared that yesterday. And like immediately afterwards, I grabbed it so that I could share it today. Now, this one, I think a bunch of people on this call will be able to speak to. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly to give other folks an opportunity. Well, let's be real. I talk a lot, so I'll try to be quick. But AI is something that we got a lot of. Oh, actually, hold on. I've got a question here. From an audience member that wants to know about LinkedIn posts. So they targeted to consumers, or is this targeted to service providers? So I think what Michael had showed, Michael, right? It was targeted to your personas. Talk a little bit about that, because mine obviously are targeted to to ISPs. So I'm physically, I'm actually going after the folks mostly who are on this call. Whereas Michael is going directly to the consumer. So talk a little bit about that, Michael.
Definitely. So yeah, on our LinkedIn profiles, you are kind of more targeting other businesses, which is good. Your Facebook and Instagram, you're targeting all consumers, whether residential, if it's a B2C customer or B2B customer, because everybody's on Facebook. But on LinkedIn, you can really kind of really target your engagement from business only customers. So your higher end customers. For me, this is one of the ways I got into using LinkedIn was with Dollar General stores. They were really kind of hard to get in touch with who was their aggregate that was getting their broadband, who they use to find broadband services in their area. And through using LinkedIn and kind of asking some questions on LinkedIn and kept a daily post and being very using LinkedIn every day. It's make sure you're just posting every day or every other day on things. I was able to get a contact on Dollar General, and we sold, probably 45 stores just through my LinkedIn profile. So it is good. I do have the paid version of the LinkedIn profile. It is costly, but again, signing up 45 national brand stores in our area for services with 5-year contracts on all of them definitely paid for my 1-year subscription to LinkedIn, to the paid version.
Yeah.
And I think Chris, I think you have a very active LinkedIn profile also.
Yeah, personally.
We'll talk a little bit about that, Chris. Like how do you use your personal account and then also your company account?
Yeah, so I think I use my personal one mostly for advertising the announcements that have been going on, because Wi-Fiber, we're basically a holding company, or are the parent company of each of the branches that we have, which may be different brands for every state that we're in. So it's a little different than marketing for each individual company, because they all have individual audiences and markets that they target. So yeah, I think that I think it's critical for targeting businesses, and using a combination of paid ads and organic types of campaigns on there are super important.
Yeah, and we just had another social media question come in. I'm trying to keep the themes of what we're talking about with a lot of the questions we're getting, but we have a question about TikTok, and if anybody has tried TikTok. Michael, Chris, John, have any of you tried a TikTok approach yet?
We personally are.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say we do. I wouldn't say it's actual TikTok, but video posts, social media posts, tower installations, stuff that is new to your area, and people it's interesting for them. They get to see, what it looks like from 200 feet in the air, and installing a dish or cabling or whatever. So that piques folks' interest in their area too. Go ahead, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've been starting to do that using Reels, which is it's going to be your vertical recording of a quick video that you may see like on Facebook. And the good thing about, we are just starting to use TikTok. I'm actually probably going to hire my daughter to help me kind of come up with some TikTok stuff. But we have like I said, our tower guys, or when we're boring fiber, kind of like, hey, have you ever wondered what it looks like when we're boring fiber? It's a little quick 15-second video, 30-second video. Also, we've been doing like the enclosures. I said, have you ever wondered what these big black pinatas were on the rope? This is what's inside of it. We kind of showed everybody, and we probably got 450 people that viewed that, because people were kind of curious on what that stuff is. So, the good thing about using something in a TikTok format is you can use it on your YouTube. YouTube now has shorts. So your YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook Reels are all the same. It's the same platform, and you can actually share them across all 4 of them and really get a broad hit on it. We try to make sure that our TikTok and Instagram ones are kind of funny, quirky. We're trying to we want to start using the same format that the TikTok people are using, the creative side of it, and kind of copy those kind of sometimes, but try to make it more ISP. So we're looking into that kind of stuff to use TikTok more.
Yeah, thankfully you can just reuse a lot of the videos across all of the different channels, right? So there's also like the fun part about telecom is that our technicians are put in dangerous situations every day, and that's not a fun thing, but from a content perspective, it's great. So we're planning on attaching GoPros to our technicians and having them climb up towers, right? And then we can produce really interesting content that just makes people nervous for our technicians, or like if they're on someone's roof or something like that, just to say like these are the heights that we go to get you internet. And then we're also able to use video to tell customer stories, whether it's a charity that we're donating to help establish the community engagement that we have with each of the communities we're in addition to helping other residential customers that are in need, or getting business testimonials that we can utilize as well, because testimonials are especially huge for businesses when they're going to be signing multi-year contracts. They want to hear from other local businesses about their experience with you. So those are just a few other video ideas that I think haven't been done enough in this space.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point.
Yeah, and when we send our technicians or my sales team, we do have a lot of small communities, more rural communities that we service, and if my guys are take a video of saying, hey, we're in Lockney, Texas today, find us and talk to us about the fiber internet we just installed, and they show a picture of maybe the water tower, and people in those small communities love to see their town on stuff. Everybody likes to see their community, but especially smaller communities that maybe feel left out. So if you can do a post that kind of shows their whatever it's their mascot of their team or something, or if you're in front of their high school or the city hall or something, whatever they recognize instantaneously as from their town, you'll get a lot of reactions from that community.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. That's awesome.
Using drone footage is also great for that kind of thing too. So you can actually, because a lot of people like to see what their town looks like from up high like that, and so it's just also adds some interest to it.
All right, now do you brand your drones? Do you have drones flying all? No, I'm kidding. Put your logo on a drone.
There's a lot of really creative things you could do with that, right? Just you have to worry about aviation laws and stuff like that.
Right.
Didn't always used to be that way.
So we did have another social media question come in. In terms of the social posts, how far out in advance do you plan your content? How is it developed? What sort of internal review does it go through? And then how do you decide whether and how much to take pot shots at incumbent cable companies?
Yeah. We try to stay away from taking pot shots. I mean, we were going to maybe try you make a kind of a quirky name similar to their name. Yeah, so we kind of try to stay away from that. As far as I try to do my base post a month in advance. So my basic ones, if I know there's a holiday coming up, I get those kind of ready to go. Some of the other ones, and then I kind of generically fill in for the humorous ones or for the customer appreciation ones or things like that. So I do try to get at least at least one or two posts figured out a month in advance for myself.
Our calendar typically extends, we just try to plan as much as we can for the rest of the year, but that's usually only tied to local events that we know for sure are going on, or holidays and certain promos that we have for that. But yeah, as we get closer, we may need to adjust those but depending on if we're adjusting pricing, whatever the promotion may be, because as you go through as you complete each marketing campaign, you learn more and more about what works, what doesn't work. And then so you don't want to plan out too far in advance because then you may be using tactics that don't work anymore.
Well, and you got to be careful too of build times. If something slides and it goes out further 2 weeks or 3 weeks because of a component. So yeah, I would say 30 to 45 days is a good target.
Yeah. And keeping up with some more social media questions, do you use specific platforms for different segments, for like B2B, B2C, small business versus enterprise?
Yeah, definitely. So B2B and enterprise would be LinkedIn for sure. And then Facebook, and because Facebook is great for both. Snapchat is typically best for targeting younger audiences, but their market is, or their user base are, expanding in age. So I think that those are where you can start targeting more personas that are like gamers, or younger teens, like college or college students as well, because they're not, even though they're not necessarily the decision maker, if their parents are the ones that are actually choosing which internet provider they have, they are definitely influencing what that decision is. We get people calling all the time saying, "Oh, my son can't game fast enough," or their Call of Duty's lagging. It's like, what can we do? And so that's definitely a something that we try to influence the behavior for the younger people on platforms like TikTok.
Yeah, I think
Mike.
the same thing on that too. I mean, mainly business to businesses on LinkedIn, and more of the general internet ones are more Facebook and things like that. I did get flagged on a Snapchat post that we did because we were kind of focusing on the gamers, and I put more headshots, more kills, faster, so it's about talking to like the first person gamer, and that got flagged. So be careful on what verbiage you use on talking about games.
No, very good advice. Very good advice. And then how much do you recommend, or how much do you invest on some of these different platforms like Facebook, for the campaigns and for generating leads?
Uh, we currently, I spend about $1,000 to $1,200 across all platforms. Depending on if it's a generic, if it's just my regular post, I'll kind of mainly do a smaller amount. But if we're moving into a new area or we have something exciting going on, like we just built an area, I'll really spend a lot of money to kind of hit the demographics that we kind of want to hit, which is typically about 18, the 18 to 55 year age, depending on the market. But yeah, I definitely, if it's something you really want to promote, so it's a new area or a new product or new service or new speed plan, definitely worth putting the money into to get to the right demographics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody
for
else?
us, it's typically anywhere between 1 to 5,000 per 5,000 subs that we have in that branch per month. So for our smaller branches, we'll be spending a couple thousand, and then for our larger ones, it can be 10,000 plus per month.
Yep. Yeah, I think it depends on your market, the size, what your TAM is, all that good stuff. I think it's going to be a little different for everyone.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, there will be like a law of diminishing returns at a certain point. If you're especially if you're using a specific or like only one platform, or if you're using most of that budget in just a couple places. So that's where you'd want to diversify that marketing budget, and also allocate that budget towards both short-term, medium-term, and longer-term types of marketing campaigns. So short-term meaning paid ads, where you can immediately track that revenue from the day that you start that campaign, to longer term, which would be like SEO, where you could take a year or longer for you to actually see results.
Yeah. And what about other distribution channels, whether it be direct mail, radio, television? How does the social media spend compare to those?
It's night and day. I mean, honestly, besides your EDDMs, you get so much more. I feel here lately, you get so much more bang for your buck through social media. Paying for the $1,000 you spend on social media doesn't even compare to what little you're going to get through television, radio, or through EDDMs, where you don't really know what your ROI is going to be on that. And you can really geo target areas, zip codes, and stuff like that, where if on TV, you don't know if it's who's watching it at the time. So I think your bang for the buck is social media. Personally, I don't know how the rest of the panel feels.
I definitely agree. I think that social media is great for being able to target or do hyper local targeting, but there's other types like using door hangers and other types of print mail. You can still like hyper target, but campaigns like radio, or campaigns utilizing radio and mass mailers, or even bus stops, and other forms of traditional advertising like that. Those are the spray and pray type of method doesn't really work too well, especially with ISPs, because there's a very specific market that you can only target to, and everything else is just not necessarily wasted, because it could, there's still brand equity that you're building in those areas. So then when you expand to those areas, you can, those people are more familiar with you, but it's not as effective. You're not getting to get as high of an ROI that way.
John, anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far down the deck here. I mean, we can get into other areas like the door hangers, yard signs, other stuff, when you have installers in neighborhoods, you know, having them stick around a neighborhood a little longer and put some signs up or some door hangers. I mean, there's a whole host of other stuff, but social media, very targeted, I would agree. But it depends. I mean, if you're in a rural community and the homes are a mile apart, it's a little different segment than a neighborhood. So, and Michael, I think all of us have dealt with that. We're in Appalachia, Ohio. One person's on the bottom of the hill, the other person's on the top. So, there's not a lot of marketing dollars you can spend there. So, but anyhow, I'll let that go. We'll get deeper into that as we move along.
Yeah. And then just a real quick question, and then we'll move on to AI. So ballpark, what is your conversion costing you on Facebook?
Per lead or per customer, like the add to customer conversion. It definitely depends.
Yeah.
I think that there's some of it that I can't really disclose because we have competitors on the call, but I'll let the other two answer for me.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah. I think we don't have like a set metric on that just yet, but just the amount of engagement and the amount of people we're able to reach. One of the things that we're a member of just about every community's Facebook that we're a part of, even the neighborhood ones I try to get into. Some people are having issues, where us being still a smaller ISP, being able to kind of talk to these people and directly if they're having an issue with us or having an issue with a competitor, definitely helps out. Just having that constant engagement that people know who you are and that you're not just a fly by night kind of company, something like that. It definitely sets us apart from the national big competitors, the other ISPs in our area, because the owner of the company can jump on, will jump on our Facebook personally, and you're not going to get the CEO of Cox Network or Cox Internet, jumping on there. So I just think overall you just get a great return just by having your social presence on Facebook and just your ads.
Do you do Google as well, Michael?
Yes. So yeah, we do work on our with the Google AdWords and that kind of stuff. So we do kind of spend money on the little fencing of kind of getting ranked up with the SEO stuff, which I think we'll be talking about here in a little bit also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I can mention is that when we look to buy other WISPs or fiber companies, we try to only acquire providers that can acquire customers at a maximum cost of $1,000. So if it's costing you more than $1,000 to acquire a customer, you need to reevaluate your marketing strategy and the campaigns that you have and all the other tactics that you're utilizing. Because above 1,000, we start realizing that there's just not as much opportunity in the area that you're in. So the range for like a cost for acquisition for us based on the branch could be anywhere between 250 on the low end and 1,000 on the high end.
Yeah. And we have a lot more questions about social media, but in the essence of time, I'm noticing we're still on the first section and we're 30 minutes in. So we'll get to some of these at the end when we have some more time, as long as we get through all the slides. But let's jump in just really quickly to AI. I know we had some AI questions come in from the people who had registered for the webinar. So I'm going to just go very quickly explain what RACE is. It's role, action, context, and execution. So it's basically, you can use a ChatGPT, a Perplexity, a Claude. There's all these different kinds of large language learning models that can help you with brainstorming and doing all of these different things from a research perspective. But you have to speak to it like it's an intern, like it's a green intern that doesn't know a thing about your business, because in essence it is. A lot of people will try and be like, write me a blog post about the BEAD funding and what it means today. Well, that's so broad, and you're not going to get what you want out of that. You have to be really specific in some of those things. So these are, and you guys will get the slides for this, so you can kind of just see some of the prompts. So prompting is a really big part of this. And for instance, if you are the head of an ISP, and you have a certain number of subs, and you need to understand who your buyer personas are. Is it the family that has mom works from home, and we've got a teenage gamer, and a tween who loves to stream YouTube, and like, what are the needs of these people? And you can actually brainstorm with your large language learning model of choice, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and you can actually start to get ideas for marketing campaigns and things that you can do. And this is just an example of some of the different types of personas that might be in your area. You can then continue the conversation. A lot of people don't continue the conversation. Keep talking to the large language learning model and say, based upon this information, help me with messaging. It can do all of that, and give you some really solid ideas to start with. Maybe not Michael's kill shot, but um, no kill shot language happening in ads. But these are just some really high level ideas. So let's talk, Chris, John, Michael, how are you guys using AI, and specifically using it also for SEO, as we've got the example up here?
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead,
there's
Chris.
there's a lot of ways that we can use AI. And from so from a strategy standpoint, you could actually just start with asking a lot of these questions that we've had in this webinar to ChatGPT. And the responses that I've gotten in the past have been amazing. You can so you can get some broad overview of tactics that you could be trying as a part of your marketing strategies, and then use other types of tools to help you from creating creative content all the way down to the text and the copy that you're going to be using on your advertisements, using it to build your website, using it to evaluate your current website, um, taking screenshots of a design that you've made and having it develop code that you can just review first and then you just publish, so you don't even have to know how to code very well to produce your digital assets. So yeah, there's a lot of the great things. So like I can go through a couple of tools that we use. So there's one called Roast My Landing Page, and it uses ChatGPT 4 Vision to scan and critique your landing pages. From an SEO standpoint, there's one called SEO Sage that'll help you with evaluating and creating an SEO strategy. And then there's, from a creative standpoint, Canva is a good tool for people that don't really understand or don't know how to use Adobe products. But Adobe is doing some amazing things with AI as well. Their generative fill for photography, or even video now that they're starting to release. So if your clips aren't long enough, it can actually anticipate what should be happening next. And you can extend your videos with AI, like with film or with video that you've never actually filmed. So it's pretty crazy. I'm really excited about that because I do a lot of the photography and other creative work for our business, and being able to not have to do an entire reshoot of a photography shoot because of AI, due to if we don't have enough lighting or something like that, and it can help denoise and sharpen the images that we produce is awesome.
No, those are great tips. Michael, John, any that you would call out?
Uh, yeah, I've been using. I think one of the cool things about ChatGPT, especially if you have the paid version of it, is you have a kind of a history. You can start brand new, brand new starts, but it keeps a history of everything that you've done. And so I have about 200 conversations with ChatGPT, and you can go back into one of those from 3 months ago and just start back up and go, hey, that marketing idea didn't really kind of pan out the way we wanted it to, and you can really kind of. The cool thing with ChatGPT I love is that you can continue these conversations, and as you, especially on the paid version, it gets to know you, it gets to know your business. Like you said, you have it learn your website, and then I will use it to go look at my competitors' websites a lot and say what are they offering, what kind of services, what do you see, where should we target, and ChatGPT does give me some good generalized ideas. Sometimes not always perfect, but definitely kind of helps me not have to go through everybody's websites daily and look at their stuff.
Yep, John?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like you said at the beginning, Lindsay, you're going to have to treat this as, you're going to have to explain yourself very well what you're looking to target, and it's one of those tools. The more you use it, the better you kind of find your way through the weeds. But you have to, I mean, and you can't just cut and paste into. I mean, some of these, it'll come back with suggestions that sounds very robotic. You're going to have to put some personalization in there. You're not going to be able to just cut and paste. I'm going to take this and pop it right into a mail piece. You're going to have to massage it a little bit. So just that'd be two suggestions from myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Great,
a
because it
lot
does
of times
90% of that
just
work.
yeah,
Oh, go
and
ahead.
that's what. Yeah, I think Grammarly. I think I use sometimes if I find something I really like. Sometimes on an email, if I'm using it to help create an email to somebody, kind of a long form email, and I will take that email that ChatGPT or Perplexity gave me and run it through Grammarly and kind of
Mhm.
humanize it just a little bit, And you can actually tell GPT, "Hey, humanize this a little bit, or make this less informal," and it'll actually kind of come out and make it real informal. So you kind of got to be careful what it does.
Yeah, well, and you can also play them against well, not play them against each other, but use them in tandem. So if I write something in ChatGPT, I might put it into Claude and say, I produce this in ChatGPT. Here's my buyer personas. Here's this. Here's this. Can you make recommendations for me on how to improve this or humanize it? And they'll actually go back and forth, and you can keep doing that and really refine it quite well.
Yeah,
So
you can utilize examples of copy that has a tone that you want to emulate as well. Just say emulate this tone. Take this email copy that I've just written and make it so it matches that tone.
yeah,
And
and
then you just
to that point, Chris, you can create GPTs inside of ChatGPT if you have the paid version. So you can
Mhm.
actually like create your own little, gamer persona or mom working from home persona, and here's the voice, here's the tone, and the LLM will start to understand what you want from it, and it'll start to give you some of those answers and some of those ideas, and you can go back and forth, and it understands its role. I even have one that I named Webinar Wally, so that when I need to get a webinar set up, I literally have it's already predetermined with all of my information about my organization, and then I just feed it, hey, here are the people that are going to be on, and it knows, okay, Lindsay wants an email invitation, she wants a follow-up email, she wants a landing page, so it'll give me all of this information from me just writing like 2 sentences in there because it's already pre-populated with all of this other great information. It's a time saver.
Yeah, and your other departments of the business should be using it too, like customer service. But we get
Yeah.
people, or I have reps asking me all the time, like, "Hey, how should I respond to this really difficult question or situation that I'm in?" And not all the customer service reps that you'll hire are masters at social communication, especially if they're in the tech field. So having ChatGPT actually provide responses to it is great. But also, if you're able to create um, GPTs for each of your personas, then the way that you respond to each type of marketing persona could also be different as well. So if in your CRM you have a way to tag customer based on what type of persona that they are, like if they're a gamer or work from home or stay-at-home mom or a retired individual. You can make it so that the customer service reps will know which or how not only how to use ChatGPT, but like how to use it in a way that communicates most effectively with that type of person.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And quick follow-up, Chris, probably up your alley. In reference to AI and SEO, will AI written content eventually influence page ranking, positive or negative? Will human produced content still have value or become more valuable from an SEO reader perspective?
Yeah, so that I think Google's already filtering out mass-produced content that people are using with AI, but there's also AI tools out there that will humanize it, and it'll actually give you a score based on how humanized that content is, and so it's just like a cat and mouse game with trying to detect that, and Google's gonna have a really hard time. So I think it can still be effective, especially if you're utilizing ChatGPT just to do like a bulk of the amount of work on researching what content to produce, putting together a rough outline of what you should be using and key points that you should include. And then even things like creating the graphics that you're wanting to use for it. And then that way you can just go through and humanize it yourself. And it makes it so you save 90% of the amount of time that it normally would have taken for you to do that.
Yeah. Any AI copyright concerns from using AI?
Yeah, I'm concerned.
I
I don't
think
really know what
we
else
all
to
are.
say at that point. I think as long as you work to customize it as much as you can and personalize it towards your brand, then I wouldn't be too concerned, because there's going to be a certain point where a majority of the content on the internet has been generated by AI, and I don't really know what they can do at that point.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. I know, John, is there something that you do
I'm
with
just gonna say, yeah, I mean, you got to remember anything you put into it, you're putting into the beehive. So if it's anything having to do with proprietary at all, we get reminded by our owners, exactly. You got to be careful what you put in. So
yeah.
Yeah, make sure your CSRs know that too.
yes.
Yes, yeah. I was going to say there's that's a really good point. There's actually a way, if you have the paid version, and maybe now even on the free version, where you can actually go into your settings and tell it not to use your information that you put in there as part of its learning model. Now I'm not sure, if it actually listens to you or not, but um, but that's with personal accounts. Now keep in mind you also can have enterprise and team accounts where it walls it off. So like we have a walled off instance of Gemini that we use as an organization that keeps the data protected. We still are very careful and we do not put anything proprietary in there because it's better safe than sorry. But somebody made another really good point. Tell ChatGPT to use common or colloquial language. Um, that is a really good point to end at the end of it. So when you're telling it what you want it to do, give it those instructions. The other thing that you should always tell it to do at the end is, now take your time, go back, review everything that I asked you to do, and give me your best effort. Like something along those lines, as silly as it seems, actually does work. So, all right. So let me make sure we're going to move on, and if we can, we'll come back and we'll see some other things. But I'm going to move on here to referrals or gold. So let's talk a little bit about that. Who wants to kick us off?
I think Michael has some slides on that, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I think a couple of mine. Yeah,
Oh,
so again, like you said, referrals are probably your best bet on new leads. Those are generally warmer leads because someone's actually, a happy customer is referring you. You rarely get referrals from a sad customer. One of the things that our techs and all of our salespeople have, everybody in our company actually has a QR code scan that our techs will ask for a referral and we'll ask for referrals and for a review for our website. So we're getting referrals and reviews from a quick QR code that those guys can sign up. And we do a $35 one-time credit for referrals, and then we also have a 5 and 0. So if the customer has 5 referrals that stay active with us, they have free internet. So using different tactics, monetary. People love money, but a lot of times people are just happy to ask for referrals. I try to tell my sales team, try to ask for 3 referrals, specific referrals. Just if you ask for a customer, if you ask for someone, hey, can you give me 3 referrals? You're not going to get it. But if you see that they're really involved in their church, or maybe they're very religious, and something like, hey, do you know someone in your church maybe that you can refer me, or do you know someone at your business you can refer me? So kind of being specific, maybe, or hey, do you know your neighbor across the street? Something like that. So different things like that.
Yeah, I think it's great to also so paying the referrer, but also the customer that they refer, so that way they're more incentivized to sign up in the first place, but then also mention who referred them. So we could take what we'd normally pay a salesperson and just cut that in half and say, okay, half is going to the new customer as a discount or a credit on their account, and then half is going to the referral or the referrer. Especially if, or one thing that we just launched is a promotion where if someone's leaving us because they're moving, we're giving them $75 if they can convince the person that's moving in to sign up with us, and then they'll get $75 if they pick us. And so that way we don't have to pay for the install as well. So we could even increase that to be even more, but it makes it so much more convenient to not have to go and reinstall a customer.
Right. Now, how do you guys manage these programs? Do you have like a platform or a third party that helps you with this?
So we use our main system for accounts is we use a Power Code, and so they have some things built in that we use for our customer management for active accounts and things like that. So they actually have some stuff built in. I can't remember if we asked for it specifically or they did it for us. So that's how we kind of keep up with it. Again, the customer, if they're on a 5 and 0 plan that they get free internet, it'll let them know. It'll show that the customers that they have active on them. Of course, when they get a bill, all of a sudden it'll let them know, hey, you're going to get a bill next month. So we do let them know that if someone dropped off, they're not going to get that active free internet. It does alert them also, so they're not freaking out.
And then do you guys use gift cards, spiffs, gamification, any of that?
Yep. So we use this is on one of the slides that I've got, but we have like a gift card that so instead of handing out a discount or discount coupons, we find it's much more effective to give out gift cards that can be utilized towards their service if they're a new customer, and then the design has a second half of it that is the same thing, but but it's so they can be able to give it to their friends, so they can just cut it in half, keep one, utilize it. So instead of giving them $100 off, it's $100 in credit to use with Wi-Fiber, and then that way they're not only feeling like they're holding cash, they're much more likely to treat it like they're holding cash or something of value rather than just like a coupon they got in the mail. And then they also feel like when they're handing it to somebody else that they're actually giving them some value, because I don't know the last time anyone's given me a coupon, but I probably would have not really valued it very much because I get plenty of those in the mail.
True. All right, and we're down to about 11 minutes now. And so, Michael, do you want to talk really quickly about the Facebook and Instagram ad referral?
Yeah, and that's real quickly what these 2 slides show. Again, this more back to Facebook and Instagram. Just we roll these out probably once a month. Our referral plan is usually referral about once a month. Again, these are some of the different ads that we kind of do, and there's kind of like the next to it is what was kind of in the actual Facebook post. So kind of keeping that up and make sure that's 1 or 2 of our posts every month is on the referral thing. And as it gets closer to the end of the year, kind of maybe ramping those up to maybe once a week also.
Gotcha. So from a guerrilla marketing perspective, let's talk a little bit about the door tags and, things that, Michael, I know you've talked a little bit about some of the things that your guides do out in the field, which is pretty cool. So do you want to kind of talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so I kind of run a little thing for our team. Again, like I said, not just our technicians, but our construction teams building fiber, our tower guys, everybody, anybody that's out in the field, even my sales guys. So every time they post a picture of a sign that they put out, I enter them into a drawing that every once a week we'll pull out a $50 gift card for one of our employees. So it kind of keeps everybody involved, and again, it's monetary. It's not just an attaboy, which they like attaboys, but cash is king for a lot of people. So getting your team involved to put signs out, and making it a group effort, and making it like a contest to see who's going to win it. So
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Good way to get them all in there. So jumping into SEO, we're running up on time here, and we still have quite a bit of ways to go. Maybe we need a part two. But Chris, you want to take us through some of the ranking factors from an SEO perspective that folks that they need to know in order to help rank locally.
Gotcha. Cool. So I'll try to speed run it because SEO is a pretty complex process. And this presentation is mostly focused on the off-page SEO type of tactics that you can utilize. So just starting at the top, I think people overestimate how complicated SEO is, especially because of how great Google has gotten at understanding the context of your website and how important it is. And meaning like how credible and authoritative it is. So Google has over 200 ranking factors, but all of them ensure that Google provides results that are the most relevant to the search query, they're the most credible, and then they also prioritize sites that have the best user experience, and then they also present sites that are the most personalized to the user. So this website, Backlinko, is a really great resource. Out of all the SEO resources out there, I think they're one of the top 5 to get the most up to date and concise and effective SEO tactics.
I was going to say, and if folks want more information on this, Chris, should they reach out to you on LinkedIn for questions,
Sure.
for follow-up?
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much more we're gonna get into the other slides or anything.
Yeah, I was
like
going to say, do you want to talk quickly just about the different link building opportunities?
Sure. Yeah. So I think ISPs shouldn't be viewed as or they should be viewed as local, or you should be using a local SEO strategy rather than just a generalized strategy that could be, one that like Sonar would be using, for example, because you have a very specific market in a very specific area. So utilizing your Google page, like your Google My Business page, and then local citations, meaning getting listed in as many online directories as possible, and then using content that's most relevant to the areas that you're in on your website are going to be extremely important. So out of the types of or everything that you should be doing off of your website should be building links from basically through getting other websites to link to your website through a variety of methods that we have a slide for, generating as many 5-star reviews as possible and preventing as many 1 or 2-star reviews from reaching your page as possible on Google and Facebook, and then getting your brand mentioned online on social media, which is related to the social signals, and then getting listed in as many directories as possible with the correct name, address, and phone number. It has to be formatted identically across all of these to make it so basically Google treats it as authoritative to have your business listed all over the internet versus compared to other businesses that may be out of business and may not be utilizing up-to-date information, and so they try to make it so that Google as a resource has has all the content as unified as possible across all the websites that they index and then provide as a search result.
Yeah, and another quick and easy win might even be press releases, things like that that will help drive it back. And another tip that I just learned just a couple weeks ago is that also is going to start driving a lot of the large language learning models. So press releases, things like that, to make sure you're getting your name out there and linking when they're doing their research. So.
Yeah, exactly. So targets for link acquisition can either be industry-related websites or geographically related. So industry-related would be getting links from other ISPs in other areas that may not be direct competitors with you, but you guys may both have blogs or social media accounts where you can mention things that you guys are doing in those areas that, and you can get kind of creative with that. For example, like we could highlight something that another ISP is doing in the state next to us that we like to highlight, and if it's like donating to a charity or something like that, and then they could do the same thing with us. Then there's getting linked to an industry news publications, like for example, like what we're doing here with Sonar right now. This is helpful for our brand, and then if Sonar were to create a blog post that was like a summary of this webinar and we got a link from that, that would be one opportunity. And then if manufacturers that make equipment for our industry has a blog, if you could be able to co-produce content with them, because they usually have a team that's pretty limited, and they would love to have resources from other people in the industry to help produce content. So you could co-produce that. And then from a geographically related websites, you could be sponsoring local events and making sure that they link back to your website when they have a list of sponsors on their website. Sponsoring local organizations, working with other local bloggers or influencers, same with businesses or other schools. And then there's also best of lists that people are typically, or that organizations have, that may require you to actually pay to be on there, but it's typically worth it.
Yeah. And then local press.
Yeah, local press. Yep, exactly. So the key to getting local press is doing something newsworthy. And I think a lot of people are, because they're always, or I've gotten a lot of questions of people asking me before, like, how do I get in the news? And it's not going to be, oh, we're a business and we want more customers. Like, you have to actually do something newsworthy. So, and then with your Google profile, ask your customers regularly for 5-star reviews. Out of all the WISPs that we've worked with, we rarely have ever seen them actually ask their customers for reviews on a regular basis. And then responding to every review, whether it's good or bad, adding your logo and photos of your team, making sure you complete all the information that you can on those pages, and then posting updates regularly on Google as well.
Yeah, no, that's great information. And just so everybody knows, we didn't get to quite a lot. I mean, John was here to really dig into government with us, and then we've got local events, video we didn't even get to touch. So I'm going to commit to, if you guys will, let's come back in January. You want to do another one in January? We'll keep going, and we'll get all this information to you guys. It'll still be the beginning of 2025, so you still have time to plan it and execute for 2025. But I'm going to go ahead and invite David back to wrap us up. But Michael, Chris, and John, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And I'll let David take us home.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the great information here today. Really appreciate it. We have a ton of questions that came in, but rest assured our panelists will receive those questions. So hopefully we can do another one of these, and I would certainly be looking forward to it. And we can invite you all back, but this has been great, great information. So just a couple of quick announcements. I know we're over time. First of all, if you're not already aware, we do have Fiber Connect every year. That's our big show. It will be in Nashville again this year, so looking forward to that. And that'll be on June 1st through 4th. And you can actually go up and learn more about it and save the date and do some other things right now by following that QR code. So would encourage you to do so. Also, we have announced our regional fiber workshops. Fiber Connect workshops. These are more local, smaller events that we do. We'll be in San Antonio, Texas, Philadelphia, Anchorage, Toronto, Spokane, Scottsdale, Kansas City. So that's what we have so far. And lastly, I just want to mention once again, we do have our fiber optic path program, which is for training future fiber technicians and providing those certifications. If you're interested in helping with that program, we'd love to hear from you. You can scan the QR code or follow the link in the chat. And lastly, please keep an eye out for future webinars, including perhaps a follow-up to this one. And we have Fiber for Breakfast every week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So that features Gary Bolton, our CEO and president here. And that's a little bit of a shorter format, a 30-minute format, but always exciting. So you can subscribe to those or register individually. But I encourage you to check out what we have. Go out to the fiberbroadband.org website, look under the events tab, and you can find all of that information. But thank you again to Michael, Chris, John, and Lindsey. And of course, thank you to Sonar Software for sponsoring today's webinar. And we look forward to seeing everybody on the next one. Bye.
Awesome. See ya.